Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me in the back? Well, I'm going to welcome all those people who knew and loved Pam who made it here, and thank you for coming. I know she'd be overwhelmed um, by the presence of so many people that she knew and loved. Pam was full of love, and sometimes it was overwhelming for me. And so she directed a portion of it to her dogs, Cromwell, Churchill, and Thatcher, and a portion to her dear family and friends, some of whom you will hear from next. My friends know that I've really not been able to speak about Pam in public. And if I falter now, I have arranged for my niece, Liz Stark, to come to my rescue and finish my portion. And in a short time, what can I say about our 40 plus years together? What anecdotes to share. I think back to our first date, and I took her dancing with the shoreman. And over the ensuing years, the subject would sometimes come up. And she delighted in telling anyone and everyone that I never took her dancing again. And I think the reason I'm sharing this now is that it delighted me to see her delighted when she lovingly poked fun at me. Delightful, that's one of the many words to describe Pam. She was high energy, active, energetic, and hated the prospect of slowing down with age. Some of Pam's many friends, and they come from all parts of her last 40 and a half years. And they're but a sample of the people she touched. I'm going to ask each speaker to consult the list on the program. It's right here. And themselves and provide some context on their relationship to Pam. And beyond that, I know that they will speak from the heart to help us remember our beautiful Pam. So I'm supposed to call up the next speaker. So I'm going to call up Liz Stark, Pam's niece.
And yours.
Once removed, twice removed, no, not removed.
No removed.
Liz Stark from San Diego.
So hi everyone. I'm Liz Stark. I am Pam and Quincy's niece. I'm Liz Stark. I'm Pam and Quincy's niece. And I just have a little something written here to try and capture some concept about her. But in my kitchen, I have a green Le Creuset Dutch oven that I received off of my wedding registry. Being back here in Pam's green, beautiful kitchen, I realize I chose it subconsciously with her and this place in mind. And what do you know? She's the one who gifted it to me, the only person who could. I must have been seeking a totem of her energy, skill, and joy in my own kitchen, 3,000 miles away. I remember bounding into this house to find waiting for me a bevy of chocolate chip cookies, which I think we'll maybe mention more than once today, or a turkey sandwich with tomato and a side of Cape Cod potato chips. But I don't actually remember watching Pam cook, certainly never toiling or ever flustered in the kitchen. And that is how I'll think of Pam. You never had to ask Pam for anything. She anticipated what you needed and made you feel at home. But now that I'm no longer a kid, there are so many things I wished I had time to ask her, like, number one, how do you remember everything? especially when you've lived a life as full as you have. Number 2, may I record your laugh for posterity.
Yes.
Number 3, what is the recipe for your chocolate chip cookies? Mrs. Rodgers could absolutely give Mrs. Fields a run for her money. And number 4, how are you so adaptable in every situation, yet always true to yourself? Pam could have been and done anything, and every day she chose to take care of her family, her friends, and her community. Most of all, I'll remember her as part of Team P and Q, as God in the alphabet intended it. They are my beacon for generosity and commitment, for complementing and accommodating each other exactly as they are. It's painful that we didn't have more time with her, and I'm so grateful to my Uncle Quincy for finding a way to carry on as the world's preeminent Pam historian, keeping her spirit alive through the people gathered here today, transcontinental totems of her presence, and the memories we all carry. We love you, Pam. And now I have the pleasure of inviting up my mom and Pam's sister-in-law, Susan Stafford. She is. She likes to make an entrance. Bring the leg. Yes. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Susan Stafford. I'm Liz's mom, Quincy's sister, and Pam's sister-in-law. And I'm honored to be asked to say a few words about how much Pam meant to me and the Stafford family over the years. I can't remember the first time I met Pam, but I remember how things felt when she was around back then. Quincy was just so happy, and he and Pam were sailing all the time. Mom started to check the weather on the Chesapeake and tried to involve Dad in her anxiety over the safety of her firstborn. And then it was a cold, dark, really short Boston day, and a taxi was picking me up in front of my apartment building and taking me to the airport. I arrived at the Rosemont house. It felt solemn and joyous and suffused with candlelight. There was discussion amongst the men about the reliability of the justice of the peace. All agreed he seemed unreliable. In the end, he presided over a dignified, brief ceremony and was off. And I saw an image I will never forget, as it was to be repeated countless times over the coming decades. Pam, leaning over a dining table to cut a cake and serve Quincy's family and friends. Pam saw something worth loving in all of us. My mom and dad, and especially my mom, benefited from Pam's commitment and love. When my mom developed dementia, ultimately landing her in a less than optimal destination in her retirement community, Pam devoted countless hours in person and on the telephone with decision makers there to transform what might have been a sad last chapter in my mom's life to one that was respectful and filled with kindness. I know it made it easier for Bill and his family, as well as my girls and me, to visit and be present in her life as much as we were able. Near the end of my mom's life, Pam and Quincy took my mom to the Greenbrier, one of her favorite places, for a vacation. Pam, of course, managed all of the complicated logistics and gave my mom a much-wanted family vacation at a time when she could not speak and required round-the-clock care. Pam did it all. At Pam's hand, I learned how to manage a home. She was my role model for construction management, I remember listening to her talking about renovating the kitchen and building the patio in Rosemont. In those sessions, I first learned of her extraordinary contractor skills, logistics, budget control, managing people, bringing good cheer to a difficult problem, and creativity in the face of unexpected obstacles. At home, I tried to do the same. In Massachusetts, my young daughters clamored to attend Camp Pam. Not only did they want to come to Lusby to be with Pam and Quincy, each wanted a private camp session. Pam, of course, welcomed them and schooled them in crabbing, cooking for Quincy, pie making, and Labrador loving. It was a most popular summer destination. I continue to be moved by the imagery that comes to my mind when I think of Pam. The Outlaws photo at my wedding of Pam, my sister-in-law Liz, and my former spouse. My mom in the tub at the Greenbrier with Pam sitting on the edge. Pam leaning over the dining table to cut the wedding cake in Rosemont. A brick on a soft-shell crab. British racing green kitchen cabinets. Labradors, pies, cookies, cookbooks, newspapers, terracotta pots filled with herbs, smiles, perfect crab claws, the military way that she took on a cooking project, and the laughter. How will the fire department and the police survive the holidays from now on? What will Costco think? Loved and cared for us and concern. She honored us with time and attention, often through her faithful acts of hospitality. Where do we have a chance in our lives to give such a gift to others? To be the gracious host that Pam taught us how to be, nourishing the souls of others. It has been a long 3.5 months since Pam left us. There are so many times that we have and will continue to ache for the comfort of her friendship. Thank you very much. And I would like to invite Nancy McCabe from Solomon's Island to come and speak about Pam.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Roots of my experience with Pam. Can you hear now? Okay. One day, probably in the early 90s, my husband was out campaigning, knocking on doors for the Republican Party, and he came home. He said, I just met the most wonderful couple. They're from Alexandria. They are the greatest Republicans, and they're sailors. That was my introduction to Pam and Quincy. And I have to say, it has been just a wonderful relationship. When I first met Pam, she showed up with a gift. And I thought, how lovely. When we moved into our new house, she came with a little broom and something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was symbolic of a happy home. And she was always giving me the and the thing that than I do, she was really determined. And I found out later that idea for what his care should be.
Oh, good.
And guess what? She prevailed. And she was right. And I know it was great comfort to him to have her there in this time of great need for him. And I have to tell you, Quincy, Frank was a great friend of yours, but he really loved Pam. And don't be. So now I would like to introduce
I'm used to it.
Ann Gorman from Elizabethtown, Tennessee.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do this without crying. So I'll never forget when I first met Pam. This contagious laugh. It was just boisterous. It was just loud, and Pam was embracing life. And you know, they taught me that you grab a hold of people that you like what they have and do what they do. And that's what Pam taught me. She was a beautiful soul. And I remember that so I had to ask somebody to, I hope this is okay. I had to ask somebody to sponsor me, and immediately I knew who it was. It was Pam. Pam was the person. And I was trying to think, and you and Ted were talking about it. How long has it been? And it's hard to believe it's been 17 years. And gosh, what does the time go? And we would spend hours out here just talking. And, gosh, she was my confidant, my cheerleader, and she taught me how to trust. Okay? I know she's with us right now in spirit. Absolutely with her. And I love her, and I miss her so much. But the day before she left us, I was so blessed to be able to spend some time with her. I came out and we walked around the property, and honestly, she was ill. She was fighting pneumonia again. But she talked to me, you know. But I was reading this, Pam taught me. She got me into and I wanted to read this because it reminds me it's Pam 100%. It's a dynamic person is one who really makes a difference in the world, who does something that changes things for people. The magnitude of the work done may not be great, but the world is different because that person has lived and worked. The real secret of a dynamic personality is to believe that God works through you. Whatever you may be doing, to put His service first, and to be as sincere, practical, and efficient as you know how. And that was Pam. She was absolutely a beautiful person, and I'll forever miss her. She, I'm a better person for having known her, for sure. She taught me how to put a filter on this. I don't think I would have retired. I'm retiring next week, and she was there for all the challenges of learning how to deliver information to people and do it in a loving and kind way. Because I wasn't good at that. She was the one who taught me those lessons. And I'm forever grateful for that. I have the pleasure of doing this involvement.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bobby Uncle. Well, what am I to Pam? I would think that, depending on the situation, I consider her my sister. Depending on the situation, I consider her to be like a mother to me. Depending on the situation, she was my neighbor. Most of all, she was a very good friend. So, and no offense, Liz, but I think Mrs. Field would bow to the master when it comes to chocolate chip cookies. She made the best in the world, I believe. And that's what she was. I think for me, I looked at Pam as the fixer of people. You know, she always tried to help and fix whatever was going on, especially with me. And so she had a lifetime work ahead of her. Because there would always seem to be something going on. And I used to pick Pam up at the airport and take her to the airport quite frequently when she flew up to Florida. And, you know, we had some candid conversations. So during those candid conversations, I don't think she was a mother to me. Because I wouldn't have had those conversations with Mom. She could carry on a pretty good conversation, and you know, but she always was there to help, no matter what. And someone, I can't remember who it was, but you know, I think it was you who said that you know you didn't have to ask Pam for anything. She always knew what you wanted, and if what she brought you, you said you didn't want, she'd make you take it anyway. You know, but she was always fixing something. As soon as you walked into the house, she was always bringing something. You know, she's what Pam did, and it was just amazing to me to have a friend like that. And I'll say that you know, I bought the place next door as a result of being friends with Pam and Quincy, and I think we'd come down. I ride with Quincy down when we were leaving places, and I said, Quincy, who owns that property over there? And we kept going back and forth on it, and I think he finally found out and told me who it was. And because of that, I was able to track the guy down and buy that place. And what a wonderful purchase that was to be next door to Pam and Quincy. At least that's the way I feel. This is what Pam would do. I bought the place and built the house, and the kids were relatively young at the time, and you know, of course, they had their own rooms, but I was kind of on a budget when I built it, so the house was all the same color. But she couldn't have that. She said their rooms need to be different colors. So she asked the kids what color the rooms wanted to be. And my daughter Macy, she wanted hers purple, and Zach wanted his green. So she went and bought the highest quality paint that you could buy, and all the tools to do it with, and painted the rooms herself. Wow. Absolutely, and what a wonderful job she did. If you know Pam about her painting, she's really particular about her painting. She'd call you out in a heartbeat when it comes to something like that. So that was Pam. That was Pam. She was always willing to do it. She wouldn't accept a dime from me. Wouldn't consider me even trying to pay for the paint. You know, I can't say enough good things about Pam. Our wonderful Pam. That's it. So I'm supposed to introduce Terry Hill.
Hi, I'm Terry Hill, and friends of Quincy and Pam. And it depends what day you're talking about, whether I'm friends with Quincy or not. But definitely, Pam, you know, I've known Pam longer than Quincy, I think. And as Bobby just mentioned, he considers Pam his sister. I have two sisters, one in Australia and one in England, and Pam is my American sister. And she and I would get into it on occasion. And Pam taught me how to make amends. I had to call her up and say, I'm sorry, Pam. I tried to push you too far. I'm always trying to push things. And she didn't like that at all. But those the dog at the time, and I'd have to go to work. And the look on that face of that dog as I left the house. I'll never have my family has visited me here in this house. When she came to Australia, we had we had our own little problem there, but we worked it out. Pam didn't come. What else? I just being here tonight and hearing these stories about Pam and how much she did for everybody. She was the same when she was concerned about me and how I was doing. And she definitely stepped in for my sisters to look after me. And I will be forever grateful for that. And I miss her. We didn't speak that much in the last few years because she was spending so much time in Florida, but over the years we had long conversations and I could talk to her about anything. So I'm truly grateful to have known her, and I'm very grateful to have heard what has been said here today. So thank you very much, and I'm going to introduce two people from Florida. And I can't read it because I don't have my glasses.
Lois Bielo and Diane Hobbs.
I'm sorry, I should have my glasses.
Do not apologize. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Lois Bielo, neighbors of Quincy and Pam at Hillsborough Mile Ocean Apartments. I so appreciate being here to honor my dear friend and yours, Pam. She and Quincy were one of the first people my husband and I met after buying our unit in Hillsborough Mile Ocean Apartments 25 years ago. This adorable, smiling lady knocked on our door with a batch of the most delicious chocolate chip cookies and made us feel so welcomed into this small, tight-knit community. Pam's energy used to amaze me. She invited me to walk on the beach with her one afternoon. Little did I know she planned to reach the lighthouse, which I believe was over a mile away, in the hot sun, on the hot sand. I didn't go again, once. Her love for our Hillsborough community was evident in all Pam did. She would be on the beach every afternoon, making plans on how to make our community better. She served on the board with my husband Bob for many, many years, as did Quincy. She was vice president of buildings, which is a very, very difficult task to take on. One of the first big projects she did was to change the color of our buildings from white to a beigey color. And she was going to do that no matter how many people argued with her. It looked beautiful. Up in 2024. It was a tough time as the community was beginning a difficult and expensive concrete restoration project mandated by the state of Florida. I remember our first meeting prior to taking our positions as board members. I arrived at the Rodgers apartment in a boot as I had fractured my right foot. Pam answered the door, and she had a boot on her right foot too. We were shocked and asked each other what happened. Well, Pam explained that she fractured her foot climbing Machu Picchu on their recent cruise. Pam then asked, "How about you, Lois?" Sadly, I told her, I was taking a walk in my neighborhood when I felt a pain, heard a snap, and fractured my foot. She looked at me and said, "Lois, you have to think of a different story." And we laughed. My husband Bob wished he could be here to honor our dear friend, but last October he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I'm sorry. Both Pam and Quincy were devastated by this news. They came to our side on so many times. This was around the same time that Pam was feeling ill, but we never realized the seriousness of her health issues. She called often to ask about Bob and give us both a pep talk. She visited our home after Bob came home from the hospital to let us know that she was stepping down from the board for a while, just for a little while, and that she left Quincy with the job of taking over. But despite the fact that she left the board, she still stayed very involved, helping me out tremendously because I was the secretary and she continued to do board minutes and contact people, and she really helped a great deal. I miss Pam. I miss her good humor. I miss her warmth and caring nature. And most of all, I miss her friendship. Now, my part's over. I have a short message from the current Hillsborough Mile Ocean Apartment Board of Directors. I was asked to read a message from the current Hillsborough Mile Ocean Apartment Directors, of which both Pam and Quincy were members. We would like to take a minute to honor our friend and colleague, Pam Rodgers, and her dedicated service to our co-op. Pam was a dynamic force in our small community, and over the years served on several boards, including the current one. Pam and Quincy spent many years at Snowbirds in Hillsborough. Her many years in the community and participation on different boards and committees in many different job capacities provided our board with such a wealth of information and knowledge. We miss having Pam as part of our team and often find ourselves asking, I wonder how Pam would handle this. Sometimes we don't want to remember how she handled it. She was very dynamic. We sincerely thank Quincy for stepping up and volunteering to be a member of this board when Pam became too sick to continue. We share in your sorrow, Quincy, but we celebrate Pam's life, which made such a difference, not only as a board member, but as a neighbor and dear friend. We miss you greatly. Your fellow board members, Pat, Tom, Dale, Joey, and Lois. Thank you. And now my friend and neighbor, Diane Hobbs.
Good evening. Can you all hear me? We're all here this afternoon, this evening, to remember Pam. She had a unique gift for making everyone around her feel noticed
had this awesome ability to see to the heart of the problem and show me how small acts of kindness can change our outlook, or at least to see things in a different way. She was smart, quick to laugh at herself, and there for me whenever I needed her. She captured my grandchildren's hearts with her generous and Pam ways, pita chips made from scratch, right out of the oven every morning when they were visiting us. She would come up the stairs. We were above her. I were above the stairs neighbor. She would come up the stairs with mounds of those pita chips each morning. Of course, the chips were gobbled up within 10 minutes from the 3 children. But Pam forged on the next morning with a new batch. At Christmas, she and I would go to the postal store down the mile to have the pita chips packaged. Pam made sure to tell the packager they better get there and not have any chinks in them. And they didn't. We talked, we walked, we sat on the beach. We mostly met on the stairs with each other giving delicious goodies for numerous times every day. She was the best baker who cooked on this planet. Just ask our police force. She made them cookies all the time, even increasing the amount when she and Quincy were leaving to come back up here for the summer. And she would increase that amount so they would have a little more to keep going till she got back. We would talk on the phone when she went north or south. No, my husband and I don't know direction. For those days that she and Quincy were here, I could go on and on about how she helped my mother, my sister, my kids, and John and I in some special way. And I know in my heart she is dancing with the angels, most likely giving her more wise advice to them. She is my sister of the heart and will be in my heart forever. Rest in peace, sweet sister. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Peg Raba. Did I get that right?
Hi everyone, my name's Peggy, and I haven't done anything like this before, so just bear with me. Yeah, sorry. So I struggled greatly to find the words to express what Pam means to me, and the words that I've come up with don't do her justice. The important thing to me is that Pam knew my heart and I knew her heart. Pam was my AA sponsor for, I don't know, we think like 15, 17 years, something like that. I was drawn to Pam initially, I was just drawn to her because of how she worked her program and how she worked her program in her life. She was an incredibly positive person. Her spunkiness was very contagious. Humility, selflessness, calmness, and serenity. She was just a bright light, and you were just drawn to her, and she just kind of pulled you right in, like you didn't even have a choice. I remembered when I asked her to be my sponsor, Quincy, we had to get the okay, because Quincy is my husband's sponsor. So we had to get the okay, because, conflict and all that stuff. And thankfully, they approved. And Pam assured me that she would keep all of our conversations confidential. And but I'm sure that there was at least a little bit of pillow talk. I don't know. But I'm sure it was about how I was right and Fred was wrong. So, Yeah, that's okay. So the one thing that Pam said to me in the beginning was, I laugh a lot. It was very clear, like the ground rules for our relationship was that it was not going to be a home, complaining, blah, blah, blah kind of relationship. That she laughed a lot, and we definitely had a lot of laughs. Even under the most dire circumstances, Pam could always find something to laugh about. And she was really good at not taking, and for us to not take ourselves too seriously. There might be serious things happening, but we had to find the laughter and the joy in all of it. And she helped me do that a lot over the last years that she was my sponsor. And Pam selflessly gave to me so much of her time, and I do mean a lot of time. I was thinking back to our many phone calls over the years, and probably not one of them was less than 30 minutes. And I was thinking about how when I was calling her, and if she was near Quincy, she'd probably say something like, well, that's Peggy calling. Let me go find a nice, comfortable place to sit down with a cup of coffee. This is going to take a while, and I'm sure I made a few of Quincy's dinners a little late than was anticipated. So, Pam was an amazing sponsor. She was an amazing friend, and she was my person. To me, she was just everything, really. She was my surrogate mom, and she was the mom to me that I wish that I could have. She was kind, supportive, lovingly honest, encouraging, non-judgmental, and she always had my back no matter what. And she loved me unconditionally, and I knew it. Her belief in me is what gave me the strength to bring Craig home after his strokes. And she has been supporting me every step of the way since he's been home. She was one of the few people who thought that I could do it, because I knew I could do it, but she knew and she told me that I could do it. And that made a huge difference for me. You may not know this, but Pam was a food pusher. So, yes, anytime you came into this house, it's already been said, she was always trying to feed you something, specifically chocolate chip cookies. How I thought that was going to be unique in my little chat, I had no idea. But she was an amazing cook and an amazing hostess, and always made you feel welcome anytime you were in her presence or came through the doors of their home. Pam was a good AA, and she walked the talk. She believed in service and always reached out to the newcomer, especially the new ladies coming into the program. We have a women's meeting on Zoom every Wednesday. It's called the Do Drop In. So if you're a lady, you're more than welcome to join us. It is a wonderful group of ladies. At that meeting, the Wednesday before she passed away, she celebrated 47 years of sobriety. We didn't know that was going to be her last women's meeting at the Do Drop In. She had asked several of us to speak for her about what was going on with our lives. She wanted it to be kind of a laid-back meeting, talking about things that we might not normally share in a meeting. And she didn't want it to be about her, because it was never about Pam. It was always about us. And I think, and I'm sorry, and while each of us shared about our lives taking our turn during the meeting, we all of us ended up sharing about our deep love and gratitude for Pam being in our lives and what she has meant to us over the years. It was such a beautiful meeting, and I truly believe that the way that it happened was divine intervention. It was the best sending off that we could have given her, having that opportunity to express how much we loved her. And we were really able just to pour into her all that she has given to us over the years. I'm so very grateful for Pam being in my life, and I will never forget you, Pam. You took a piece of my heart with you when you left. And I just hope that I can make you as proud of me as you watch over me. And I know right now she's baking chocolate chip cookies and bringing it to the big meeting in the sky. I love you, Pam. I'd like to introduce Liz Stafford from Bethesda, Maryland.
Before I begin, I would like to add my own chocolate chip. Whenever she saw my husband Bill's and Susan's brother Bill, she would make him chocolate chip cookies, but he refused to share them. And so she would make small packets for me and the boys, and that was Pam. But Pam and I took great pride in referring to ourselves not just as in-laws, but we were the outlaws. Truly, though, she was so much more. She was a sister, friend, and confidant. We used to call her the dog whisperer. Pam was a devoted dog mom. To Cromwell, Churchill, and Thatcher. And certainly a loving dog aunt to our rescued Labrador, Sophie. Sophie came to us deeply traumatized from a past abuse, and in those early days, when we needed to be out of town, there was only one place we trusted, Camp Pam. At camp, Pam created a safe, loving, and playful environment that helped heal Sophie's damaged soul. Pam understood that dogs are the purest reflection of God's love. She was always a steady presence at the most difficult times in my life as well. She was a loving sister who offered wisdom rooted in a deep spiritual perspective. She had a gift for knowing when to speak and when to simply listen, and how to guide with compassion and clarity. One moment that has always stayed with me was during a particularly painful time in my life. To help me put things into perspective, Pam sent me a list, life lessons from dogs. It was full of simple truths, yet poignant truths, of how to live and love, reminding me of the daily important lessons in life. So I would like to read that list to you. Life lessons from dogs. Never pass up the opportunity to go for a joy ride. Allow the experience of fresh air and wind in your face to be pure ecstasy. When loved ones come home, always run to greet them. It doesn't matter if loved ones have been gone for 3 minutes or 8 hours. Be there for them. And when it's in your best interest, practice obedience. Let others know when they have invaded your territory. Take naps often and stretch before rising. Run, romp, and play daily. Eat with gusto and enthusiasm. Those of us who are lab people get that. Be loyal. Never pretend to be something you're not. And if what you need lies buried, dig until you find it. When someone is having a bad day, be silent. Sit close and nuzzle them gently. Thrive on affection and let people touch you. Avoid biting, and a simple growl will do. On hot days, drink lots of water and lay under the shade of a tree. When you're happy, dance around and wag your tail. No matter how often you're scolded, don't buy into the guilt thing and pout. Run right back and make friends. In short, Pam was teaching me to love deeply and live fully. That was the essence of Pam. Pam's spirits, wise, generous, and always guiding me back to love. And one final note, Pam told me once that if she could, she would have had a whole pack of dogs. It's comforting to know that somewhere in heaven, Camp Pam is a thriving place of love shared with lots of wagging tails. So, I would like you all to join me. I'm sorry?
I want to just make two little announcements. The caterer has arranged so that if you want to take food, you can take food with you. And also, these centerpieces, I don't know how you're going to divide them up, but feel free. And I'd like to, for those who want to join us, I would like to ask you to rise and we'll close with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you all for coming, and since it's raining, you should feel free to hang out. You can hang out here, or hang out on the porch, or you can hang out in the house. So thank you all for coming.